So once I heard their voices and understood the assignment, I wrote this one because I was like, this one is specifically for Coco's tone and voice that I knew was going to be doing the lead vocal. So I'm like, let me write something in a key that I know is extremely comfortable for her and just sits right in that soul zone that I love. And it's also a tribute to a lot of records that I love. Clean Up Woman being one of them, obviously. There's a couple of other things in there that's happening in there that are tributes to records that I love too.
Oh wow.
Name, namely the bass line and that motif, that all of that. There's a record called Boom Boom V by T.S. Monk that I love. Look that up. And that's why I put that breakdown in there. Is a complete and utter tribute to the T.S. Monk Boom 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 V record.
So it's not a sample, is it?
I'm
That.
playing
Oh,
it.
okay.
Remember I talked about how I sampled myself?
Right, yeah.
Play it and then sample myself and then chop it and put it in. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
less linear than just playing a R&B song straight through. I was playing and then sampling myself and then acting as if I was the sample, which that's to me makes I'm So Into You sound different than other things that had happened before it. That's kind of what my point was with getting away from New Jack Swing and trying to do something different on that particular record. But that's why the piece of the little guitar is there from Clean Up Woman, and that's why the bass line. So I love Funkin' for Jamaica. Any kind of bending bass line, I'm a fan of the bending bass line. I got multiple examples of bending bass lines that I love. Fatback Band, called Backstroke, and Roger, Do Wah Diddy. Any kind of bass line that's bending, I love all that. So, and I keep doing it over and over on the SWV debut. I do it on Weak. I do it on You're Always on My Mind. I do it on I'm So Into You. So it was kind of like my signature bass thing. You probably knew it was me if it's going with some kind of bass bend. So I'm So Into You is the whole bass line is bending.
So
But
you're talking about the dun dun that part.
but look at the end. It ends with that bend.
Right.
Always a bend.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
is it. The bend, baby. That's what I was all about, trying to show that that's my thing. I dig that. So I put it in 3 records, and it's first of all, Weak has it in it, and that's crazy in a ballad. The very first line, I don't know, it's the bass is bending all the way through the whole thing, right? That had never really happened in a ballad before, like a bass bend, because it's usually a funk and hip hop or a funk and party thing to do, not really in a ballad, right? But anyway, I'm So Into You was the signature joint that I was trying to express myself as a producer on. And Rodney Jerkins gave me the biggest compliment, I think, when he said that it was because of those chops that made him think differently about the production. The hi-hat chop, those little bits like that that make the record, that's the character of the record. I appreciate that he understood that that's what I was trying to do. And it's not a whole lot of complicated stuff. It's just a couple of simple things that make it be so clean and absolutely straight ahead soul.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, a shout out to Rodney, man. There's another legend right there too. So then, this single did much better than the first one.
Well,
Gosh, right here.
it broke them for all practical purposes. It broke them into the business. Without that one, we don't get nothing else. It was the
So,
one that's they're here. Like it was a smash. It was a big record. It
so
went number pop, gold single, number. I think number 1 R&B, but pop. It was top 5. Top 6. That's huge for a record like that.
And remember when I asked you, after the first single, it wasn't doing that well commercially, how you felt. You was like, you was a bit worried. Now compare that feeling to, when this single drops. Like, I imagine what's going through your mind at that time is you're feeling more optimistic. But yes.
Beyond optimistic. I was like, oh my God, we survived. First of all, we survived this pop music thing, because it wouldn't have been enough to be a big record on the black charts alone. We needed that to do what it did on the pop charts, and it absolutely did. And it started reacting, and like I was saying earlier, in places like Seattle, and because back then people like Tiffany and those groups, Debbie Gibson and all those, they used to do what's called mall tours. And so the young kids, the young white suburban kids would show up at these malls in huge numbers to support artists like Tiffany and those kind of things. So it was that age group of people that started calling radio stations requesting I'm So Into You. So that's when RCA, I think, figured out, hey, this is bigger than just a R&B hit soul record. It's a pop record. And it really, really was.
So now
it's between them just getting marketing dollars for an R&B group versus a pop group, which they would have more, obviously more budget and more attention paid to them. So it really set the stage for Week to become a #1 pop record, which it did, and it fell.
So as these singles we're going to get to the other singles, but as these singles are being released, I imagine the strategy of the labels changing, because of course the first single didn't do that well, but then this one happened. So they've obviously, okay. So then talk to us about what's the correlation? Because I always wondered this, right? When the single's doing well, right? How does that correlate with the album sales? I would assume that as the single does well, the album does well as well, right?
And in their case, with I'm So Into You blowing up like it did, the album took off and it went triple platinum, pretty quick.
So
I'm pretty quick. I'm So Into You was the trajectory that made that album start moving in high volume. Let's say it that way.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. What's I gonna say? Okay, so did you talk to us about the publishing deals, right? Because now this album is now doing well, because you got already single like crossover to the pop charts, right? When did publishing deals start coming to the picture?
Oh, they started calling immediately when the album went gold, and when I'm So Into You took off on the pop charts, they start swarming like vultures for sure. Like, here's do it with us, and I don't recommend doing one to any young writer. Don't do one. If you have hit records, keep your money. Don't do one, because all it is a hedge on the money that you're already making. They don't swarm around unless they know there's money to swarm around. So, but when you're young and you see these certain figures that you've never really seen before, it's easily to like try to grab that check. But really, it's an illusion, because you're grabbing that check and you're also adding these 30 years to your whole earning potential, and you're giving it away to other people for no reason. All they're doing is giving you your money back.
Did you take
I have
the
a
publishing
question
deal?
about that, too.
Sorry, one second. Did you take the publishing deal at this point?
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So like most, you don't see those kind of figures. 6 and 7 figure checks are like a big deal to when you come from like I said, what did I say? When you're coming from nothing, something is everything. But all money is not good money. So learning when to take money and when not to is a huge lesson that most people have to pay for dearly. And I'm not immune to it. I had to pay that price as well. I wish I never would have done a publishing deal.
Okay, so this album went 3 times platinum. So just to be clarified, because you did the publishing deal, you didn't reap the benefits publishing wise as a result of that album going triple platinum. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, but it's a little more complicated than that. It's like not only do you not reap what you should reap in the way that you should reap it, you put other people in between you and your reaping for like decades.
Damn.
That's the way to say it. Like, let me just put these people in between me and my money for 30 years for no fucking reason.
That's crazy.
And give them this huge percentage of my money for no reason. Yeah, no, don't do it.
Okay, you hear that, guys? This is some good advice there.
The good news for me is at this stage in my life, with my records being still so active and popular and getting sampled and used and covered and interpolated all the time, I'm at the 30-year mark where I can move and shake with it, because I'm back in the ownership position of it. I'm past the 30-year point that I gave it away, and now I'm back on my shit. So it's just a blessing.
Okay, so what you just said just reminded me of something, right? Now, a very prominent hip hop billionaire recently gave publishing back to these artists, right? And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And a lot of the artists that he
Don't
gave
do
it back
that.
a lot of the
Don't do that.
a lot of the a lot of the artists that he gave it to was saying, "What's the point of giving it back to us now? It ain't worth shit." Now, now you just said that you're getting your publishing back after 30 years. What do you say about people that say that publishing isn't really worth anything in this day of streaming?
Well, both things can be true at the same time. Streaming is crap, and people are not getting paid fair wages, fair amounts of what the product is. That's a fact. And the labels have joined with the streaming people in screwing the creators. That has to be fixed. There needs to be fair shares giving in the things that everybody is, making money from. It's billions of dollars we're talking about. So there's a group called the 100%ers, and Tiffany, shout out to Tiffany, Tiffany Red, who's leading the charge with paying writers and creators fair wages. It's the same thing everybody else is talking in all the other industries that they have unions for. So that's a real issue. But at the same time, all writers aren't created equal either. What your publishing share is what it's about. I'm in a rare group of people that I'm 100%er. Like I wrote, produced all of it by myself most of the time in the biggest hits I have. So that's usually not true with most people. So if you're already co-writing, especially in today's world, there's like 7-8 co-writers on joints today. Like that's that's the norm.
Yeah.
Anybody's record that's out right now. I just had my engineer Chris look at a particular record that we like right now that's out right now. We were shocked to see that it was not only 8 writers, but it was 5 producers.
But why is it like that these days?
Listen, I don't know, but I came up in an era of I did it all myself, thank God, and so that's sticking to the publishing thing. That matters when you're trying to now negotiate or navigate what your catalog is worth. Okay, so again, I'm blessed that I was in a position to be the one that did everything, and I didn't have a whole gang of co-writers writing my thing. Now, that's not to say that I won't co-write, and having co-written, I love my co-writers. Little Mo, with my Nicole Ray record, like several people, Missy Elliott, come on. I co-write all the time now because you can't do a record today without co-writing. So, but thank God my biggest joints are 100%. But with the people that you're referencing, most those people were in situations where they were writing with other people. So whoever said that the publishing ain't worth shit, they meant that it's not valuable because they probably don't own all of it. It's multiple people. So when you talk about that many pieces of a pie, and then 30 years later, as opposed to my situation where 100% of the pie 30 years later and it's still popular and getting used all the time, you're talking different values.
Wow. Okay. Excuse me. I see Emmanuel has a question, so I'll give the floor to Emmanuel. Ask your question, bro.
All right. When he was talking about 5 producers, right? Right now, I'm in a situation where it's a track. I ain't gonna speak too soon about it. I came up with the skeleton of the track. I gave it to the homeboy. I passed it to him. He adds some stuff to it. And then 2 big producers got a hold of it. So those 2 big producers, they also want to collect also with the check. You get what I'm saying? When he say 5 producers, and I'm like, you don't need all of them, but they're big producers and we're small producers. So they're going to put their name on there. It sucks, but it's a way for us to get known.
That happens all the time. That's a typical thing that happens. There you go. I mean, that's
great.
How it goes until you get your own name out there and you can use your name as currency. It goes like that, and it's unfortunate. To me, I would say, if you can, in those kind of scenarios, if you can get it to the artist without the big names on it, go for that. If it's the skeleton is the meat of it and is what it is, and it's the main thing, then rock it and try to get it to that artist directly, if you can. But if whatever they added is adding enough to it to where you know in your own mind that it changed it to another level, then you got to give it up.
Yeah, and I understand that part right there, but it just sucks because being a small producer, how can you get up to those labels? Either way, how it goes, somebody's going to get a percentage. I can talk to somebody at the label. They're going to be like, oh, okay, you know, I can give it to them, but I want a percentage as well. I want some credit on it because it become big. Then their name is on there. They're going to also want to get a plat.
Right.
So.
And that takes it back to what you were saying about the Right Here Human Nature remix. See, that's why I'll go so hard for All Star, because that exact situation happened to him. The A&R person wanted to promote Teddy as the main person of the remix because he had a big name at the time, or a known name, versus the person who actually did the creation of the work, like meaning of the meat of it. I know that he created the body of what that is. So like, I don't mind people working on it together and doing it, but what you're not going to do is act like that person didn't create that. You know, I just don't believe in that.
No, fair enough. I completely agree. So one more question I'll ask you about this song. One of the things that I like, especially with the songs that you've done with SWV, is the harmonies, right?
Yeah.
So for example, I'm not going to sing, but you know when they get to the part, it's the pre-chorus. You hear there's loads of harmonies in the pre-chorus. So I'm just curious, like, how do you decide what parts get harmonized? At what point do you decide it? Or is it just one of those creative things? Oh, it feels good. Let's put a harmony here. Is there science behind it?
Mine is just an influence. One of my biggest influences is the Clark sisters. I grew up listening to the Clark sisters. So one thing about Twinkie Clark and her arrangements is that it was always an incredible balance between unison and harmonies. Same thing with Commission, the group that I love, Commission, the gospel group Commission. Understanding, knowing when to do unison versus harmony has always been a big part of how I write, period. My DNA to do it, I need a healthy balance between when you got the line, I'm so into you. And then I don't know what, and then come back with, well, you got me. So in accent, we're confused. Because that hits harder than having all of it be harmony. See, it's about placement of harmony. Sometimes I don't like too much harmony all the time. Like it's like it can kill the reason why harmony is dope. I sprinkle it, man.
So then, at what point do you decide like where the harmonies? So, for example, let's just go for like this, right? You've written the song, you present. I assume you do a demo. Okay, at the point you've done the demo, have you already decided this is where the harmonies are going to go, and then you convey it to Coco and the rest? This is how it went to be done.
The way I work, I mean, that's how it worked with these records. I sang the entire thing exactly as you hear it on all these records, like ad libs, harmonies, placement, delivery, all of it is in the demo. So really, it's just copying the demo is what we do, or what we did.
So it's just instructing them, okay, just copy the demo, basically.
They can hear it, yeah. And here's the blueprint, and we just got to go sing it. That's it. But that's not true all the time. Layla Hathaway, when I wrote her joint, Let Me Love You, I had a basic structure of how it goes. She got in there and did her own ad libs, her own ideas, which was great. And it fit within the structure of that I had created. So some people need to do it that way, which is a good way to do it if you can do it that way. Coco wasn't a fan of ad libbing, so it just made it easier for her to just do what I had already done.
Okay, all right, makes sense, man. I'm learning a lot of interesting stuff here. All right, so before we move on to the next song, does anyone want to ask a question before we move on to the next song? Just one person.
Oh yeah, I have a quick question too.
All right, go ahead.
About publishing. So I wanted to try to put it in numbers so I can really understand it. So let's say you get a publishing deal for $1 million and it's 30 years. If the publishing company recoups the $1 million, are they still going to be in your money for the fact that it's signed for 30 years, even if they recouped the $1 million already?
Absolutely. That's the whole point of why they do it.
Wow.
And by the way, they're not doing it for $1 million unless they know $1 million is already there.
Mm-hmm.
And guess whose $1 million it is? Yours.
Yours. Yeah, yours. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. There you go. Now you got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, we'll move on to the next song, guys. Next song. This is going to be song number 5. So I want to give the year. So this is April. We're now still in the year 1993. It's April. And this is our special guest first top number 1. Let's go.